Here's the top stories for August 20th. PBBM is using flood control probe as cover-up for next flooding, VP Sara says. Philippines-China talks to discuss Scarborough collision, DFA chief says. Palace says the proposed mandatory drug test for all public officials violates the Constitution. Marcos enraged over ghost Bulacan riverwall project. ICC prosecutor Khan says no grounds exist to remove him from Duterte case. Vice President Sara Duterte said President Marcos's push to investigate the government's failed flood control projects is simply a way for him to excuse himself from his responsibilities and obligations when the next flooding happens. Duterte stressed that even members of the House of Representatives and not just government contractors must be held responsible for the failed flood control projects. The issue of the two Chinese vessels colliding near the Scarborough Shoal will be discussed during the upcoming bilateral consultation mechanism between the Philippines and China, the Department of Foreign Affairs said. DFA Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro, however, said that the DFA is still studying the possibility of filing another diplomatic protest on the August 11 incident, wherein a China Coast Guard vessel and People's Liberation Army Navy collided after attempting to block a Philippine Coast Guard ship in the Scarborough Shoal. Malacanang said a proposal in the Senate to require mandatory annual drug testing for all elected and appointed public officials would run counter to a Supreme Court ruling and constitutional protections on privacy. Communications Undersecretary Claire Castro said this after Senator Robin Hood Padilla filed a bill requiring drug tests using hair follicle samples for all public officials. She added that only random drug testing is allowed under current jurisprudence. President Marcos expressed outrage after discovering that a 55 million peso riverwall project in Baliwag, Bulacan had been recorded as completed by the Department of Public Works and Highways, despite having no construction on the ground at all. The president said the absence of flood control structures has allowed flooding to persist in nearby communities. He added that the government is now studying the filing of criminal cases against contractors and officials involved in the reports. International Criminal Court prosecutor Karim Khan insisted that he will remain the prosecutor in the ICC's case against former President Rodrigo Duterte, after the defense team petitioned to have him disqualified for conflict of interest. In a 13-page document, Khan argued that there is no conflict of interest in his previous participation in investigating the former president's war on drugs policy in the Philippines. Khan argued that he was not directly involved in investigations or interviewing any victim or witness, but only participated as pro bono lawyer in reviewing and presenting the case to former prosecutor Fatu Bensouda. Stay updated with the latest news. Visit our website at www.mb.com.ph or follow us on social media. Thanks for tuning in to the Manila Bulletin Daily Rundown.